Now I'd like to talk about the idea of being possessed of a spirit. We can be possessed of a spirit. Now, what I mean by this is that our passions are given full liberty to take us over. And we can be born into a situation, or we can have our own natural impulse where we think that is normal. And we don't really understand that it's abnormal until we come into contact with something that is totally different. This has to do with growth and relatedness. So by having a diversity of relationships, we often come into contact with aspects of our own being from that ultimate view that we have never addressed before, never come in contact with, never confronted. So, in this instance, someone being possessed by the spirit of depression may have always been able to rely on depression, King Depression, let's call it, or Queen, as a main aspect of their being that makes them feel comfortable. They may feel most comfortable when they're depressed. And when somebody comes along that has, so to say, put to rest that King Depression, subdued that spirit, put it to rest, it could seem very uncomfortable to them. And the spirit of depression can come out. It feels as though this spirit of depression in this other individual is coming out and trying to defend itself and protect itself from being put to rest, being subdued. Being that my sense of being is one that I have put to rest and is subdued. I haven't destroyed, I haven't killed depression. It's not about killing anything. But if it no longer is productive in my life, I can confront it, I can relate to it, I can integrate its messages and its lessons it has for me, and it usually, once it expresses itself fully, it just goes to sleep. It says, okay, you understand the lesson I taught you, and that's what I wanted, as long as you understand. And then there's an integration that happens. This is the way I perceive it at this time. A lot of people need to kill certain spirits, certain aspects, certain perspectives. They just won't integrate it. They just can't allow it in. But this allows for a one-sidedness, a lopsidedness. And I realized for myself in my studies that for me it's very important to be more whole. And the wholeness brings more sound thinking and sound feeling. I'm more moderate, and I can regulate myself by being more whole rather than just cutting something off out of my life. Now, I understand that some people need to cut a bunch of things out of their life because they need to be their own individual. They're struggling and fighting to be their own individual, and this one thing makes them feel really special. And if they're brought into relationships with other people who are just as special, then they don't feel so haughty-toddy, so arrogant, so special, so individual, and so they need to set themselves in opposition to things and fight and struggle. And, I get it. I understand. There's all kinds of people in the world, and so be it. A tree is a tree. It's not a plant. It's not the dirt. It's not the coal in the ground. All these things are separate and individualized, but they're all one at the same time. And so if you want the tree's fruit, you're going to have to foster the fruit. But a lot of times people don't realize the fruits of their labors, the fruits of what they're fostering. And we can only realize that by coming into contact with somebody or something else that is completely different. We may be eating fruit that's totally bad for us, and we don't know it until somebody comes along and says, stop eating that and eat this. And oftentimes we can get all frustrated and say, no, I don't want to eat that. I don't want to eat that. Like a child says, I'm not going to eat my vegetables. I hate vegetables. I don't want to eat my vegetables, you know. It happens all the time until, you know, later on in life they're malnourished and, you know, there's all these dietary problems and everything. And then they realize, oh, I've got to start eating my fresh fruits and vegetables. Oftentimes we don't learn this stuff until it's too late, until after the fact, which is not abnormal. It'd be nice if we learned more quickly, but we each learn in our own way as we see fit. So anyway, I've been confronting this spirit in the exterior, one that I've already put to rest, and I've pretty much made my stand in that it's not my responsibility to fix another person. It's not my responsibility to subdue other people's spirits. And for all I know, there are lessons that they need to learn that I am completely unaware of, and it's important for them to live out their life depressed or whatever. You know, they may get on with it in a completely different way that I'm unaware of that is fruitful and beneficial for those other relationships in their life and for themselves. Still, I've confronted this, and I'm confronting it, and I can detach from it and have clarity and understand it, and I can see the passions of it, and I can see being possessed by it. I can step back and observe all these things. However, I'm of a natural inclination to not have to put myself in opposition to it. But it's frustrating because I think there's an aspect in me that says, you know, I want to give a good fight. I really want to apply myself and affirm my own perspective.